temperature will reach near 70 degrees and clear skies. A big game feeling indeed. The top team in the AFC, the Denver Broncos, 7-2, trying to open even a bigger lead. Kansas City at 4-5 in the pack, but knowing that a win today might well give them a chance down the line to make a good stretch drive toward the playoffs. Dick Enberg with Bill Walsh. First, Christian Okoye. Marty Schottenheimer said he would not announce whether Okoye would play until he talked with him prior to the game today. This not long ago, early practice, Okoye talked with Schottenheimer and then offered this effort. And out of that, Bill Walsh, what do you think? Will he play today?
Well, he can get everyone else to go at slow motion or half speed. Maybe he has a chance. I don't think he can play this week.
But they have backs to replace Saxon and Hurd and McNair. The key is not in the backfield necessarily.
Well, it's the big men on both teams, but primarily the Kansas City Chiefs. Their offensive line has been making a lot of room for Okoye to get started. So they'll have the same kind of blocking today for the younger backs.
All right, on the other side, the Denver Broncos. Usually at this point in any game involving Denver, you talk of Elway, but they're bigger than that this year.
Well, Elway's still a great football player, but the addition of Humphreys and that incentive for an offensive line to block for him can really make a difference. So it's a matter of two very young teams. The big men will make the difference today.
Denver Broncos will receive to our right. Reeves has not had, nor has Elway, great success here in Kansas City. He's 2-7 against the Chiefs here, and Elway, in fact, has had some miserable games against Kansas City. And this noisy, sellout crowd, sensing the importance for the rebuilding Chiefs, who have already won as many games this year as all of last season, is ready to offer full vocal support. Christian Okoye, probably a spectator today. The semantics of it all is that he could play, but certainly from all observations of the pregame warm-ups, he will not. Chris Woods, newly acquired Denver Bronco, will be on the field to start the game as Marty Schottenheimer has never beaten the Broncos. Of course, two of those losses in Cleveland, both painful defeats in the final seconds or in overtime to the Broncos, who went on to a Super Bowl opportunity. Nick Lowery, lost here in the Midlands, doesn't get the big league press of the New York, Chicago, Los Angeles media, but regarded as one of the best ever kickers, and he replaced a potential Hall of Famer in Jan Stenrud. Bill Moss said it well. It has all that big game feeling, and here we go in Kansas City. Chris Woods and Darren Carrington are deep for the white jersey Broncos. A driving kick to the sideline to Carrington. He has an opening. One man to beat, Lowery. And Lowery gets him out of bounds at the Kansas City 30-yard line. What an opening for Denver.
What an effort by Lowery. He just used every bit of sprint form he could and cut him off. It was a great job of catching him because obviously one man was a little faster than the other, but he took the right angle and he sprinted and kept his poise.
68 yards for Darren Carrington from northern Arizona, his longest return in the NFL.
At this point, Darren looks like he's going to go all the way, but Lowery takes that angle. And Darren tied up just a little bit. Carrington tied up a little bit, trying to sprint that entire distance.
So John Elway presented with great field position to start. Denver beat Kansas City 34-20 in the first game at Mile High this year. The give is to Humphrey, the talented rookie from Alabama. He picks up a couple. Albert Lewis at the corner leading this defensive charge, and here are the blockers in front of Elway: Perry, Chiriga, Karts, Wydell, the rookie from Boston College, the starter, and Ken Lanier, the veteran at right tackle. Elway has Jeff Alexander and Bobby Humphrey, two first-year men or rookies behind him, Mark Jackson and Vance Johnson, the wideouts, and Clarence Kay, the tight end. When they go to their passing offense and long yardage, Steve Sewell comes into the backfield. Michael Young and Ricky Nattiel make it a 4 wide receiver set. Catching his breath, The kickoff man, Carrington. Elway, misdirection, and it's Sewell. Inside the 20, and a first down. Tackled by Duron Cherry. Steve Sewell, who rarely carries the ball. That's only his 4th carry of the season. There's the defense in the red jerseyed Chiefs uniform. Smith, Moss, and Griffin. The front 3, Martin, Ashley, Hackett, and the great rookie Derek Thomas of Alabama. When they go into their nickel packages, these men come in: Thomas, Smith, Moss, Saliamua, Cooper, Copeland, and Burris. And then the back 4 of Lewis, Ross, Porter, and Cherry. And it could be as good as any in the league. First down, Denver. Delay to Humphrey. Gets outside. And Duron Cherry knocks the ball away, but it goes out of bounds in Denver's possession at about the 11-yard line.
Both offensive lines have improved so much as the years progressed. They're both young offensive lines with a lot of talent, and thus far, this Denver offensive line is executing beautifully. In 2 cases, they pull the guard, pull the tackle, and their blocking's been very effective against a very, naturally, a Chief defense that is incensed to do well today.
Reminder that Keith Bishop, the Pro Bowl guard for the Broncos, is not here, not in uniform. He's in the hospital back in Denver with an illness. Second down and short. Humphrey hit hard as he slashes off left tackle Bill Moss, collaborating with Walker Lee Ashley.
It was a great move by Moss. He is having a great season.
Out of the University of Pittsburgh, of course, the alma mater of his head coach Marty Schottenheimer. It'll be close to a first down. They'll measure.
Well, this is putting all the pressure on the Chiefs. They've got a home field advantage in a sense, and they're on their own surface, which makes a difference. But Denver now with Bobby Humphrey has the kind of speed to make a difference on artificial surfaces. In the past, that speed has hurt them. Now it can help them.
Now that's short of a first down, bringing up third down for Denver. There's Bobby Humphrey, grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Sold Coca-Colas at Legion Field there, that city. He's had a busy social 24 hours with his old buddy Derek Thomas of University of Alabama, the star linebacker against whom he is running today. And there is Thomas. Comes off in this situation as they bring in a little more beef on third and short.
Both of these guys have made a real impact for their own individual teams. Thomas, a great performer. Humphrey, instinctive, quick, explosive.
Humphrey has the first down behind some solid blocking.
Really explosive running that time. Right in behind that blocking, but he just had that great forward momentum.
Wydell, Lanier, and Kay all blocking. There's Schottenheimer and Kurt Schottenheimer in the white visor, the brother of Marty. There's Marty kneeling in front of him. Part of the controversy in Cleveland last year, as rumors had it that Art Modell wanted a change there that would have involved brother Kurt. And Marty said no, and I'm out of here. And Frank Peterson, Kansas City, said, we've got ourselves a fine new coach. Jeff Alexander inside to the 3-yard line, brings up second and goal for Denver. Well, that kickoff 68 yards by Darren Carrington, part of the problem for Kansas City. Last in the league in defending kickoffs, and it'll be even worse now. 24.8 coming in.
Well, the difference, Dick, is the younger players. Kansas City is not a complete team yet. They have a number of players that at some point will be replaced, and at this point can't play very good special teams.
Only Humphrey in the backfield. Second and goal. It's Humphrey right to the goal line and twisting just short of that final stripe. It'll be third and inches.
Humphrey is exploding into that line of scrimmage. If you see his pads, they're down right at the level of the lineman, so he has great momentum hitting into that line. And just his presence has really changed the attitude of the the offensive line of Denver. Their entire attitude, because they feel they can get something done now with that great runner.
Good second effort by Humphrey to get that added yard. Alexander and Humphrey start in the eye, third and inches.
Most likely right up over the top.
Humphrey's idol was Marcus Allen, who did that so very well and continues to, and that's the call. He doesn't make it. Albert Lewis, 29, helping out as he dives into the pile.
It looked as though the snap was wrong. The snap came up late. Consequently, the Chief defense got a big advantage. See, the snap's a little late. Consequently, the Chief defense is moving before the Denver offense.
Boy, the defensive men of Kansas City, Albert Lewis, one of them, just diving to make the midair collision and force Denver to settle for a field goal try by David Treadwell, 18 yards. And the Broncos get 3, but in a sense, Kansas City's defense with a moral victory as they hold the Broncos at the 1. Stadium in Kansas City, 3-0 Denver. Buffalo scores. Jim Kelly a pass to Thurman Thomas, 8 yards for the touchdown. We are looking at the other early games in the NFL. Washington with an early field goal against the Eagles. And no other scoring as yet. Danny Copeland and Todd McNair are deep for Kansas City, as Denver uses a 68-yard kickoff return by Corrington to set up a Treadwell 18-yard field goal, but the Chiefs with a fine goal line stand to deny the 6.
That's a character builder type defense, because to make that stand in that situation was really a step forward for Kansas City.
Copeland hit at the 20, squeezes outside, and gains another 15 to the 35-yard line.
Well, there's an intensity here today that we haven't seen every week. Both of these teams are up and coming.
Kansas City with Big John Holt having Pro Bowl success this year. Addicts, veteran Mike Webster, Dave Lutz inside where he's stronger, Rich Baldinger for the injured Irv Eatman. Pelluer, the new quarterback, Saxon and Hurd will share the duties with Okoye out of there, Page and Manley and Hayes completing the starting 11. And the first give is to James Saxon. He slashes off the left side and gets 6 yards. Saxon from San Jose State was a 6th-round pick a year ago. And here, when they go to their pass offense, these are the changes made. Todd McNair comes into the backfield, and the added wide receivers are Clarence Weathers and Emile Harry. Second down, a short 5. Saxon again, running left behind that big tackle John Auld, and he has what appears to be a first down. Denver defensively lines up this way today. It's been a Denver team that stayed very healthy this year. Character, Kragen having a solid year. Townsend, the front 3. The linebackers, Brooks, Dennison, outstanding Mecklenburg, and Fletcher leads in sacks. And when they go to their pass defense package, these are the changes. There's your front 4. Then Corrington, Haynes, and Robbins, 3 defensive backs. Join the starters, Braxton, Henderson, Smith, and the rookie Atwater. First down, Kansas City at their 47, trailing 3-0 early. Fake to Saxon. Pelluer sacked in the backfield by Greg Kragen.
Well, everything was there for a big play down the field. There isn't any question about it. They had Manley open on a deep hooking pattern, excellent faking, but Kragen, having a great year, slipped around Webster and made the big play.
Kragen from Utah State, and the Kansas City coaching staff commenting how well he appeared to be playing as they perused the tapes of previous games.
This is the toughest time for Kansas City because Pelluer really doesn't have command of this offense. And he didn't pass that well when we watched him in practice. His running's been effective, but this could be a shortcoming. Second
and 19, and they run. It's to Saxon. And Simon Fletcher, staying at home, trips him up at the 42-yard line after just a 3-4-yard gain.
Well, thus far, Saxon has run just as effectively as Okoye has been running, because he's knifing through the line of scrimmage and getting his pads down low. So it could be that the offensive line's been the difference more than Okoye over this early part of the season.
Saxon comes out, 215-pounder, only 5 feet 11, and Todd McNair, used on third down pass situations. Number 48 is in. He's a rookie from Temple. He's next to Pelluer out of the shotgun. There's McNair. Third and 16. Boy, Webster gets that ball back, doesn't he? Pelluer trying to scramble is wrapped up. Joe Mecklenburg credited with that sack, and so on that series, 2 sacks logged by Denver.
Atwater has really been asked to play right in the middle of that defense and watch for Pelluer to run, because Pelluer's chief weapon this week will be him running with the ball, because he still doesn't have command of that offense. As long as Denver's alert to it, like Mecklenburg was in that case, it's going to be tough for Pelluer to do it.
Kelly Goodburn handling a high snap and just does get the kick away. It comes to Chris Woods, the new Bronco kick returner, and he is back to the 44-yard line. Ken Bell released during the week by Denver. Chris Woods, who was on the waiver wire, had played last with the Raiders, signed by Denver. They lead 3-0 early.
Dodge has got the best, but our biggest ever sail on
They'd have the ball back at the 44-yard line. John Elway, who went through a cathartic experience a week ago when he let the press know that he felt they were getting much too personal and had crossed the line, cleared the air, doesn't feel suffocated anymore. Came out and played well against Pittsburgh in the 34-7 win at Mile High last Sunday. Steve Sewell at the 50-yard line. Albert Lewis on the coverage.
Sewell makes a play every time he's thrown the ball or given the ball. To me, every time he's in that lineup, you almost have to concentrate on him, because he's the key to whatever happens.
Really an all-purpose player, can run it, can catch it, could even throw it. He's their emergency quarterback. He's not unlike Dan Reeves in the way he played for the Cowboys. Both were number 30. Elway getting good yardage on first down. Delay to Humphrey. Swinging outside for the first down and more to the 35-yard line. J.C. Pearson and Deron Cherry made the tackle after a 15-yard gain.
Humphreys has that quickness to take an inside play and make it bounce outside. In this case, there was going to be a pulling guard and tackle inside, but Humphrey starts in and then bends all the way outside of everyone, and you'll see with that speed, he can make it all happen. He starts in, is plugged up, jumps outside. Now watch the sprint speed. Straight up the field, and again, he's a north-south runner with that great body lean.
Scouting report says he doesn't go to the sideline often. He wants to go straight downfield. Veteran Sammy Winder gets a call, picks up a yard or two.
Well, you know, the John Elway thing, Dick, having been through some of that, over a period of time, in his case 7 years, as the #1 personality in Colorado, he's naturally going to be scrutinized by the press. The team's successful, consequently more people following the team, and before long, in need of a story, people start talking about his private life. And in talking with John, he said they finally went just over the line. They went over the line, and I had to do something, because each day it was getting worse. They talked about him having a couple of beers and playing shuffleboard, things of that nature, and he wants to have an image with the public. It was really unfair, I think, but the press has really accounted for that lately.
Elway off a play-action fake. This is where he's dangerous. And he finds the open man, Mark Jackson, who can't hang on. Albert Lewis there for Kansas City, a ball that should have been caught.
That was classic Elway, getting up outside, and as long as there's we've got a drop pass down there, but as long as there's any time for Elway, he can move and avoid one person or another, one at a time. He has a great knack for that. He had it in high school, and it's been developed ever since.
So 3rd and 9. Shotgun with Sewell.
Now, Kansas City has done a lot of blitzing in this defense. They're probably faking it this time.
Nope. Derek Thomas is the first to get there. The rookie from Alabama, who now has 8.5 sacks. Boy, is he lightning quick.
He jumps way up inside, and that quickness, he's the one guy on that defense that can catch Elway man for man, mirror whatever he does, and make the stop.
So in comes Mike Kragen, one of the league's top punters. And boy, yesterday and practice today, I've never seen a man kick it any higher, any better. Every kick a perfect spiral. Let's see if it carries over into the game. Nope. But he's just trying to punch one short, and it lands just inside the 20. It'll be Kansas City's ball at the 18-yard line. And Derek Thomas, what a story he is the day after Veterans Day, and we'll share it with you when we return.
Dodge salutes those who strive for victory with this edition of The Winners.
When he took that field, they didn't call him the Dustman for nothing. He was one very tough and stubborn individual. He was there to win a ball game.
Norm Van Brocklin was one of the NFL's most competitive players ever. As quarterback for the Rams and Eagles, Van Brocklin demanded the kind of respect that served him well in his 13-year tenure as head coach of the Vikings and Falcons. Norm Van Brocklin's tenacity made him a winner.
Did you hear the one about the 4 lumberjacks who fit in a Dodge Dakota pickup? Or are we stretching our credibility? The new Dakota SE Club Cab, now available in your neck of the woods.
Some people see shaving as something you do for 3 minutes a day. At Braun, we see it as something you do for a lifetime, and we think you should make the best of it. The Braun Shaver, with its 3 shaving positions. Designed for those who choose to make a virtue out of necessity. Braun, the world's #1 selling foil shaver.
Top dragsters burn up the tracks at the NHRA Winston Finals of Drag Racing. Red hot rod action on NBC Sports World.
Checking the ticker. Norwood with a field goal from 42 yards, and Buffalo leads by 10.
First down.
Neil Anderson, second to Okoye in rushing in the NFL, has scored for the Bears. And a fumble return for a touchdown by Reggie Rutland gives Minnesota 10-0 lead. Here's 3-0 Denver. Kansas City starts from the 18 after the Moran punt. The give is to Saxon, and he runs into traffic. Rick Dennison, 55, was there first from a linebacker spot with plenty of help.
Well, both Dennison and Mecklenburg are ready for those guards to pull in front of them, and they're going to penetrate right up inside as that play develops. Any slow-moving play, he's going to come right up into the hole and make the stop. So it appears that Kansas City's best bet for controlling the ball are those man block plays with their big, young offensive linemen knocking the Denver defensive linemen off the field.
No gain, 2nd and 10. Andre Townsend had a big part of that last tackle. Pelluer has a man open. Herman Hurd, first down at the 30-yard line. One of the quietest players in the league, and his last name is Hurd. Mr. Silent, they call him here.
Steve Pelluer.
Well, he isolated Hurd outside on the strong safety, and in this case it would have been Atwater, and they just threw a quick hook pattern with Atwater outside covering one-on-one. That's the same thing Denver will do with Sewell. Flank him out, force the strong safety to come over there and cover him, and then throw in front of him.
Hurd, who grew up in the Denver area.
The shaky part of this offense for Kansas City will be Pelluer knowing where to throw the ball.
Saxon up the middle. That was the Okoye play where he'd carry tacklers another 4 or 5 yards after the hit, and that's what is most impressive about the big 260-pound Okoye, who probably won't play today, but Saxon gets good yardage to the 34.
Well, Saxon right now is playing just as effectively as Okoye would. But later in the game, that big size and power would probably begin to show up with Okoye carrying the ball. But if Saxon has the stamina to go with it, they may not miss that much in Okoye as long as his offensive line can block one-on-one.
He started 4 games last year when Okoye was injured. He gets the call again. Try to slip outside. Oh, what a good play.
Excellent. Excellent blocking. Dennis Smith come up and make a play from that safety spot.
Dennis Smith from Southern California, number 49.
You're going to see excellent blocking along the front line with Saxon just bending to the outside. And you can see the people reaching out to the outside. Now, this is where his running ability can make a difference. That time he was basically going to be hit, and he avoided. But look at Dennis Smith come up from the outside. What a great year he's had.
Dennison held him up, and Smith made sure he didn't fall forward. 3rd and 3. Pelluer up the middle, complete. Stephon Page to the 40-yard line of Denver. Make it the 39. First down, Kansas City.
Well, I was about to say this may not be the best tactic for Kansas City. They should maybe be running on 3rd and 3, but it was well executed. Stephon Page, what a smooth athlete.
Played with Henry Ellard at Fresno State.
Pelluer shows some poise here because there's a big push coming from Mecklenburg right there. He just touches that ball out, and Page running at full speed catches it on the run. Pelluer showed some real poise this time. Watch number 77. He's got his eye downfield. There's a shot. Oh, to play that position, Dick, I don't know.
Used to be the soft position quarterback. Fake to Saxon. Wide open is number 89, Pete Manley, but the pass too tall.
Dennis Smith figured that out in a hurry.
And a flag is down.
You know, I've never seen Dennis Smith move so well. And in talking with...
No foul on the play. Correction. No foul on the play. 2nd down.
In talking with Steve Atwater, the rookie, he just watches Smith, just follows him around. He said when they pursue, everyone's running at full speed, and suddenly someone sprints right by everyone and makes the stop. Dennis Smith.
Talked with him this morning. He said, I just have my fingers crossed. I've never felt so healthy mid-year. Usually this is a time I've got 2 or 3 weeks off with some health problem.
Well, a year ago, Smith was out, Mecklenburg was out, Elway was hurting. A number of these people weren't playing, and now they're not only playing, but playing beautifully.
Saxon. Stop shy of the 35-yard line.
Howard Mudd's done an excellent job with this offensive line of Kansas City because they've taken a drop step as they block that allows them to see where the defense is headed or slanting, and then they pick up on their blocks.
Delay here at the end of the quarter.
What? Would the clock operator please put 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock? 1:20.
The clock had already ticked away the full 15 minutes of this first quarter. But obviously that's incorrect, and the adjustment being made now.
Again, the Kansas City man-blocked plays are going to make the difference. Last week they had minutes against Seattle. Well, if they could take away a lot of those plays Humphrey and Elway would be making.
Mike Webster, the veteran starter for Kansas City, hired as an assistant coach by Marty Schottenheimer, was here about a month as a coach, and then said, you know what, Marty, I think I can help you more as a player. And here he is, great player, 9 times a Pro Bowler, 37 years young, leads the team out of the huddle. He leads them in just about everything. He's certainly a hustling veteran of 16 years. 3rd and 8. To the sidelines and complete to Manley. First down.
That was well executed. Pelluer is ready to play. I'm somewhat surprised because he didn't look very sharp in practice. But this is a beautifully timed square-out pattern with good pass protection. You see Mecklenburg stunning up inside. Pelluer times the ball, perfectly thrown ball to the outside.
And Mike Webster, meanwhile, in the middle of that line, watch 53.
Now he's going to pick up the line stunt with Mecklenburg coming up inside and getting that shot.
Well, they said about Webster, back in the summer training, one of the coaches said, hey, go down the end of the field just in general to ball boy or whatever and get some of the pads. Webster ran down and got him himself. And all of a sudden, a couple of the rookie linemen kind of trailed after, and they learned in a hurry that if the veteran, an all-pro, can run around and hustle and be the first at everything, first at the sunrise lifting exercises, the training camp, first out of the huddle, first to volunteer, that maybe that's not a bad thing to do yourself.
Well, this blocking scheme's great for him.
Look at this effort by Hurd as he powers up the middle, gets 5 out of what appeared to be only 1 or 2.
In the past, Webster's been asked when he was with the Steelers to man block. In other words, he is responsible for that man in front of him. With the Howard Mudd system, 2 people will initially block that lineman, that nose man, then one or the other will come off on a linebacker, and this has really added years to Mike Webster's career.
Look at him hustle, leading that team out of the huddle. 2nd down and 4. Final play probably of this first quarter. Not enough for a first down as Hurd gets inside the Denver 15-yard line. The time now is being kept on the field. Carricker and Dennison in on that last tackle.
Again, they're running toward John Alt, one of the great young offensive linemen in the game today.
45-year-old Dan Reeves in his 9th year. And he said, boy, it's been a tough year. He said, I don't know. He said, I could probably last at my age and go 20 years in the business. He said, I'd be 100 years old if I did that. He said, it's been a real tough season for him. Changing in coaches.
That was a big part of it.
Letting key players go in this whole rebuilding of the team. And you heard the gun the end of the first quarter here at Arrowhead Stadium in beautiful Kansas City, Missouri. It's the Broncos, 3-0.
Who's pulling away in advanced 4x4 technology, Chevy S10 Blazer or Ford Bronco 2? Chevy pulls away in power with the biggest V6 engine in its class. Chevy pulls away with InstaTrack, America's favorite 4-wheel drive system. Chevy pulls away in fun with the country's #1 sport utility vehicle. When it comes to today's 4x4s, it's Chevy S10 Blazer, clean and simple. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Those human rights to which this nation has always been committed.
Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
We're not going to try to control what our people read and say and think.
You commit yourself to the principles of God. Free at last! Free at last!
The freedom to say and think what we believe, to express our individuality and diversity. That's our birthright, and it's ensured by this document. Join us and the National Archives in celebrating the 200th anniversary of the Bill of Rights.
Next Saturday, the nation's top rollers continue their quest for Bowler of the Year honors, the PBA Fall Tour on NBC Sports.
Oh, in the ever-improving world of NFL fashion design, who knows what might be next. There's today's Kansas City helmet, and this one, and don't try to steal it, it's already been copyrighted. 2 years ago, this was proposed as the new look Kansas City helmet.
Sort of, what do you think? Darth Vader in red, isn't it?
Didn't the Redskins, Washington Redskins had a helmet look
at that? It looks like a freeway sign up here or something.
Yeah, we were lost going to Topeka right there 2 nights ago, in fact. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos go into the second quarter. Fortunately, still attired in their traditional colors and logos. 3-0, and the kickoff return to start the game is the difference at this point, as Darren Carrington took it 68 yards to the Kansas City 30, and then stopped at the one. David Treadwell kicked a short 18-yard field goal. Kansas City on a long march that started from their own 18. We open the second quarter, 3rd and 2. Fumble by Pelluer, and he saves a possible field goal chance.
Stay out of that shotgun. I just think they can take that ball in 3rd and 3, give it to Saxon. He's going to get the first down for him. They're almost playing into Denver's hands by using this formation. It gives Denver a chance to get those pass rushers in. Ron Holmes getting up the field that time. And Pelluer isn't that sharp with this part of the offense.
Supreme Court Justice Whizzer White's next-door neighbor, Nick Lowery, comes in. to try a 47-yard, perhaps 46. Let's double check it here. Yard field goal. They kick from just inside the 30. Look at a 44-yard attempt, and it's right down the middle, and we have a tie game. Nick Lowery.
You know, Dick, I'm not really sure why people go into that shotgun on 3rd down and 2 or 3 yards when they emphasize the run in the first place.
Nick Lowery, who failed at 11 different NFL tryouts. The Jets tried him for a while, and Pat Leahy beat him out. Lowery finally found a home here in Kansas City and now holds the record NFL all-time mark of 50-yard plus field goals. He kicked his 18th this year to pass Jan Stenerud.
You know, it seems that kickers mature much later. The place kicker matures much later than everyone else in football. So often these people are with 2 or 3 teams, and they're learning to kick that entire time.
Check the other scores. Buffalo adds a field goal. Norwood from 40 yards. Jets have scored first against Miami. And New Orleans takes a 7-0 lead on a Hilliard run of 3 yards. Washington still up 3-0. The Anderson touchdown for the Bears. Minnesota pounding Tampa Bay now 17-0. And Detroit with a field goal lead. And we have a tie at 3-all.
That Indianapolis team sure faded, haven't they, Dick? We've seen them early in the year play very, very well against the Rams, beat Buffalo. Then last week they began to fade badly against Miami. And you see they're already behind. It's just too bad because they had such high hopes.
Sherrington and Woods. Chris Woods, the new Bronco. And he is toppled at the 23-yard line. Boy, just as if someone had a wire there and knocked him out. Lloyd Burris, the veteran safety man, in on the tackle.
You'd think that the Denvers would have an edge on special teams. Kansas City rebuilding cannot get a complete roster in 1 year. Consequently, those people that are on those teams often are not quite the athlete that an established team like Denver would have. And I think that's going to be a factor in the second half.
Official yardage on Lowry's field goal 39 to counter Treadwell's 18-yard field goal that got Denver on the board in the first quarter. We're tied at 3, early second quarter. And Elway has a new quarterback coach in the last few weeks. To Bobby Humphrey, his new running back. And Humphrey, good yardage on first down. That was one of the keys to Dan Reeves and Mike Shanahan's approach today. The former head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders, fired by Al Davis and hired back by Dan Reeves and Patrick Boland, the owner of the Broncos, studying the statistics and the tendencies up in the upstairs booth of the Broncos. We asked Shanahan, well, as you look at Elway, he's apparently benefited. Look at the yards passing since Shanahan came back 3 games ago. 294, only 173 prior to that time. Better percentage, more touchdowns.
Well, Dan Reeves is trying to do both jobs, both big jobs.
Wide open tight end Clarence Kay and a first down at the 39.
Shanahan took over the quarterback coaching. Dan Reeves began to become the quarterback coach when Shanahan initially left. But it just is stretching out Dan Reeves too much. All the organizational factors, organizing practices, organizing an offensive game plan, and then coaching the quarterback, which is full-time, he just wasn't really able to do it. What a stroke it's been for Denver to have Shanahan back.
And Dan saying, I was taking work home. Shanahan, who said, I just couldn't stand not coaching. He said, I don't find it insulting at all that I've gone from head coach to quarterback coach. I'm pleased to be back in the game. He and Elway have such a close relationship. And there's Vance Johnson. May have fumbled the ball. If he did, Kansas City has it. No, they're calling it an incomplete pass, as Albert Lewis put quite a lick on Vance Johnson, the leading receiver for the Broncos this year with 42 catches.
Albert Lewis is a swift, polished athlete. He's their best cover man. Carl Peterson believes he's one of the best coverage men in the league. Look at that arm fly out. Now, that's the experience. That part of that's coaching, but it's just the instinct to know when to get that arm in there to break up the pass.
Lewis, whose hobby is riding horses, has a couple of horses with him here in Kansas City, and his teammates say, hey, Albert, you're the thoroughbred. I guess they're going to take a look at it upstairs and review that play. Gene Barth, the referee. I think this has got to be difficult. The men in the stripes, they used to have...
Will a 30-second clock operator put 10 seconds back in the clock? Make it 10 seconds. We stop the clock with 10 seconds on it.
So that adjustment made as well. The point I was about to make, Bill Walsh, is that the old days...
After a review by instant replay, the play was incomplete. Second down.
That in the old days, you had control. You knew sometimes you made mistakes. They're still making mistakes anyway, as every coach will tell you. And they even make mistakes up in the instant replay booth, and yet the rhythm of the game is dislodged.
The big disappointments, the mistakes made upstairs in the replay booth.
On second down, Humphrey just caught by the ankles. Rob McGovern, the long shot rookie from Holy Cross, made the tackle.
Well, Rob has been alternating as a starter with Ashley, and he has really done a great job. He really has. He has the instincts and some ability, but to come from Holy Cross and play football is amazing. At this level, in the competition he was in, especially being a linebacker, the physical part of it.
255th pick. In fact, when we saw him this summer, he was wearing 53. Mike Webster had 53. He thought his days were numbered. The pass to Sewell incomplete, but the reason Chris Martin, number 57, was flying in on Elway.
Well, Denver had the right call. They had a fast screen to the outside with a lineman outside in front of the ball carrier. Beautifully called, really, and Elway just has to hit it. He gets the blitz outside. You can see that block, and we'd have had a touchdown.
And Elway knew it.
They've been waiting the entire game, I'm sure practicing that all week. When you see that blitz, if we can get that fast screens called, we're going to get a touchdown. Just missed it.
Naz Worthen, a rookie from North Carolina State, just activated, is deep for Kansas City. Dying spiral, and out of bounds he goes at the 26-yard line. So timeout here at sold-out Arrowhead Stadium. 11 minutes to go in the first half.
Once again, in 19...
A6, hurry and you'll make it.
Delta Airlines ticket agent Sam Singletary knows how to get people moving.
Mr. Franklin, your bag.
But sometimes he has to show off a few moves of his own. The kind of moves that made him a first-string halfback. Sam Singletary shares a feeling with everyone at Delta. He loves what he's doing, and it shows.
Thanks.
He's the kid.
We're looking. We're looking. Yes, we are looking. Come on. I'm just looking for a push.
Beer. It's 32 degrees. And Jan Trumpeter is learning all about her antifreeze. The hard way.
Why is this happening to me?
Don't push your luck. Guarantee it with Advanced Formula Prestone.
When you've got your power stroke going, nothing's gonna beat you. Introducing Power Stick Antiperspirant. 24-hour protection in just one wide stroke. New Power Stick from Fabergé.
Long after the game is over, NBC Sports is still on the line. Dial 1-900-226-8000 for NBC's Scores Plus. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Scores Plus. Scores plus a whole lot more.
Well, those opportunities are so rare. When you finally have the time and you think it's all set up for a touchdown, and Elway and Sewell, who did not connect on that pass play on their previous possession, talk it over on the sidelines. 3-all. I understand 11:53 as the time clock here at Arrowhead is going haywire, and we can't depend on it. Pelluer hit. Is there a whistle? Apparently not. That's going to be a touchdown for Greg Kragen. Well, in the first game, Schottenheimer saw Denver score 2 touchdowns on pass interceptions in their 34-20 win in Denver. And here's a freebie for the Broncos, and Kragen a free agent pick who's playing like an all-pro this year, has a touchdown.
Again, this is Pelluer. Pelluer not really having the timing of his pattern. Everything's late, and he has to identify things after he sets up. Whereas a year from now, or even 3 or 4 weeks from now, he'll have improved that. But again, Kragen gets this ball after his fumble, but Pelluer holds the ball way too long. There's the hit outside. The ball is knocked out because he has to think too much, thinking of who he's going to throw the ball to, and then he wasn't sensitive to the pass rush.
And Kragen can thank Alfonso Carricker, number 92, a Plan B free agent selected from Green Bay. Carricker was the man who jarred the ball free, and Kragen was there for the bounce and the 17-yard romp for a score. Treadwell adds the extra point. And so the Broncos' much improved defense strikes here in Kansas City, and it's Denver 10, the Chiefs 3.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Chevy does what's never been done before. Not with a race car, not even a car, but with a new full-size Chevy Sport truck. Chevy averages over 100 miles an hour for 24 straight hours at Indy to win the prestigious Holman Indy Challenge Trophy. Chevrolet, so far ahead, even our trucks are winning at Indy. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Today's truck is Chevrolet.
As long as I've known Tom, I need help, he's there.
Sure, I'm glad to see you. Stay with you? Figured you wouldn't mind.
And when the last stray's rounded up, you head for the mountains. Bush. And the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream.
Sure owe you one. How about this in here?
Head for the mountains of Bush beer.
At BASF, we don't make the drink, we make it tastier. We don't make the suit, we make it racier. We don't make the meal, we make it healthier. We don't make the music, we make it clearer. At BASF, we don't make a lot of the products you buy, we make a lot of the products you buy better. BASF, the spirit of innovation.
Kosar. Okoye. Nightmare at the slaughterhouse. Then the Raiders. The Oilers. And the House of Pain. A frightening football doubleheader next Sunday.
Well, when you're a grandpa and you tell the kids about your NFL days, the tackles are one thing, but when you talk about that long run for a touchdown, something else for Greg Kragen. First game, it was the turnovers. 4 resulted in 24 points for Denver, who went on to a 34-20 win. That was the difference in the game. So Kansas City, Todd McNair, and he's pulled out of bounds shy of the 30-yard line by Randy Robbins. Let's go back to the fumble.
Well, Alphonse Carricker comes inside to make the big play, and meanwhile, Kragen comes outside to pick up the fumble. But Baldinger gets beat to his inside here, and it just takes a second. The right guard comes out that time. Lutz comes out to pick up a linebacker, leaving a big hole.
And Dan Reeves, boy, nothing better than getting a touchdown that quickly from the defense. 10-3, the Broncos. Kansas City starts from its 29. James Saxon, they run left again. And successfully, nearly 10. Steve Atwater, number 27, made the tackle. On the scoreboard, the early games today. Buffalo leading 13-0. Jets still 3-0. New Orleans 21-0 against the Patriots. Washington by 3. The Bears with a touchdown. Minnesota 17-3. And the Lions now. Rodney Peete has thrown a touchdown pass to take a 10-0 lead. And James Saxon comes off the field limping.
Do they need him? McNair can play the position and Hurt can, but not the way Saxon can. And this is really all the Chief has going for him right now, is Saxon running behind Alt to the left side.
Herman Hurd has replaced Saxon, who is the workhorse here in the first half, and Hurd is hit by Mecklenburg. On 2nd and 1, Carl Mecklenburg invited into the backfield untouched.
Mecklenburg jumped outside, blitzed from the outside. Actually is a pass rush type move, and no one blocked it. The shift late caused it.
Well, the Snow Goose Mecklenburg from the University of Minnesota makes the play.
Mecklenburg jump outside and make a quick move inside. No one to block him. They just didn't identify the defense quickly enough, and there it is. And when Mecklenburg makes contact, it's over.
I guess that telestrator isn't working. We'll try to get that part of the system. It's just not working on our monitor.
My hand's shaking so much.
3rd down and 3. Pelluer down the middle. Open is Page. And a first down at the 41 of Denver.
Well, it's hit or miss for Pelluer and for the Kansas City offense. That time, beautifully executed, well-designed play. And Page, who holds the record for 309 yards in a given game, again uses his experience to beat the zone defense. Well protected. Oh, it did a great job of pass protecting on the left side. Nice throw right up over the top.
24 yards, and now another 24-yard reception for Page. And there's Big John Alt, the 300-pounder from Iowa, #1 pick. Just one little adjustment in how he blocks, he said, has just taken him to a new level, and everyone agrees. He's on his way to the Pro Bowl the way he's working. Good action by Pelluer out of the backfield. Jonathan Hayes, the tight end, makes the catch at the 31. That'll be close to a first down. They don't use the tight end much in this Kansas City offense.
Hayes is an excellent blocker. Marty Schottenheimer says, best blocking tight end I've ever worked with. So that means he's pretty darn good. That time, the bootleg action got him completely wide open because he wasn't accounted for coming across the field in a real shallow pattern. As far as John Alt, he's the best young tackle in the game today. 6'7", 300 pounds, active, smart, good techniques.
Now Jonathan Hayes missed the snap count. And don't forget that John Alt is also maybe the NFL's #1 ice fisherman.
Ice fisherman. 3 holes?
Well, let's say in Wisconsin where he goes to fish ice fish, it's a 3-hole rule. It's
3-hole rule.
He lives in Minneapolis where it's a 2-hole. You only can make 2 holes in the ice. He's worried a little bit about Mark Bortz, also an Iowa teammate who's at Chicago. He's a pretty good ice fisherman. He likes those walleye pike, 4 to 7 pounds.
He doesn't like the 15-pounder. He said he put that back.
You ever ice fish?
I've never ice fished, but I've never been outside in the cold that long.
If I do, I want to be with Alt. He's big enough to keep you warm. 2nd down and 6, and the give is to McNair, and he has a first down. Todd McNair, probably the quickest start of the backs in the Kansas City corral, and he gets another 4 downs.
Well, again, we had Addix, a good pulling guard, with Alt pulling from the left side, number 62 and 76. Nice courses, straight up the field, taking people apart. Again, this offensive line, and I give a lot of credit to Howard Munn, an excellent coach who's been with Marty Schottenheimer through the Cleveland years. They're doing a great job with this young offensive line. What a difference in 1 year and in 1 coach.
Alt, again, who was a tight end in the Rose Bowl as a sophomore for Iowa.
Screen outside.
And it's Pete Manley, the former Detroit Lion, and a flag goes down as Manley gets to the 24.
Well, most likely one of those linemen were downfield or blocking just before the ball was caught.
Illegal use of the hands. And that will deny a first down gain of about 5.
Well, you don't want to see...
83, offense. Illegal use of the hands. 10-yard penalty. Replay the first down.
Stephon Page was very proud of the fact that when he is not the receiver that he will block, he'll play 100% and occupy a defender.
Yeah, well, Stephon was in a position, Page was, to block downfield, and he just made his block a little early when that ball was still in the air. And right at the end of the play, he did a certain amount of pushing, I guess, that they spotted right away. Almost
intercepted. That ball floating out there, intended for Todd McNair, and almost picked off by Wyman Henderson.
Wyman Henderson was a former 49er, played for us during the work stoppage, the strike years, and stayed with the game he's become a real solid pro. He reads the quarterback drop, and he gets a jump on this ball before the receiver does. Excellent job, and he's come from being a very average journeyman athlete to a real solid, skilled pro, just by persistence.
Cornerbacks for the Broncos, Lyman Henderson and Tyrone Braxton this year. Redecorated that defense. Over the middle, complete to Stephon Page, and then he is drilled. The ball falls out, and they call it now incomplete, that he never had possession.
He went for that ball. That is the toughest pattern for a receiver. So often there's a safety man sitting there watching the ball being thrown, and at the same time feeling Page coming toward him.
Well, that's just why a lot of receivers don't like to come over the middle.
Coming to the inside, and watch the hit. Right now, the safety will come right up into it. Now, he took his eye off of it. There's the hit. And look at the man taking him. It was Dennis Smith, who's taken a lot of people out of a game, hopefully just for a few minutes here and there, but he takes people out.
You know, I think one of the most underrated statistics in football is forced fumbles. You don't look at that column, but those are the hitters, and Smith has 4 this year, and he had dislodged any chance of a catch there. Timeout.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Today Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
Welcome back to Kansas City. They're still working on Stephon Page. NFL Live headlines prior to our game today. Bill Walsh indicating that Okoye would not play today against Denver. Mr. Wiley said that Major Harris is going to be an NFL player next year, and his partner, Mr. Beathard, the Dolphins are for sale. At halftime, Bob Costas and O.J. Simpson with all the scores and highlights, and a chat with Boomer Esiason, who will lead the Bengals against Houston in the Monday night game. Page walking off under his own power. Dennis Smith, a tough defender, and he's got a partner in Steve Atwater. They'll punish you over the middle.
Well, those big safeties, they're both 6'3" in the 200-pound range and got great leverage when they hit. Now, you combine, just think of the USC team when Dennis Smith was playing safety and Ronnie Lott was playing safety.
Oh, my. He was unconscious, we understand, so Page trying to clear the cobwebs. It is 3rd and long. 18 to go for Pelluer and Kansas City. And the Broncos, 37.
Well, it looks like a 3-man rush. It is. But you've got Atwater watching Pelluer all the way.
Going deep for Emile Harry, and Dennis Smith catches it out of bounds. No interception. And on 4th down, will they try an extremely long field goal? They've got one of the men in the league that has a long leg. Marty Schottenheimer, scrimmage line 37, so you figure 54 yards. That is within Lowery's range, but not this time. Goodburn comes in to punt.
Well, that's good judgment, because if Elway got the ball around the middle of the field, he'd be down there for at least 3 points and easily.
Chris Woods deep at the 10-yard line. If the clock is accurate, it shows 7 minutes and 12 seconds left in this first half. It's tied at 3. Goodburn averaging 42.4. Excuse me, 10-3 the score. The Broncos, of course, on the fumble recovery of Pelluer and a touchdown.
That last series, Denver rushed 3 people.
Delay a game, 5-yard penalty, go 4th down.
Denver rushed 3 people, but Steve Atwater, the rookie, the great rookie, was sitting there waiting for Pelluer to run. That's his job in this game, and most of their nickel defenses. Last week, Pelluer ran for nearly 70 yards. This week, Denver has Atwater, one of their best players, waiting for that run.
They may have taken that 5-yard penalty to give Goodburn a chance to really kick it all he wants. Fair catch for Woods. That's a drop. And it bounces out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Hope you'll be with us again next weekend. NFL Live begins at 12:30. You'll get the top news in the league and all the details at Emphasis on news from the National Football League from Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, Ralph Wiley, and Bob Beathard, our crew back in New York. So stay with us at halftime for their report, as well as to start your football day next Sunday afternoon.
Well, they had a giddy smile on their face, didn't they?
They must have just heard one of Terry O'Neill's best jokes. Stories. Now John Elway. His defense has given him a touchdown lead, 10-3. Roddy Humphrey. Across the 15, Chris Martin, number 57, the tackler.
Well, both outside linebackers for Kansas City are smallish men. Neither one are big men. They're very quick, active people. And Denver's trying to kick them out and run right up inside of them.
Derek Thomas, who has a sack today. Story, of course, at his age, when his father was 22, Thomas's age, he was a missing in action in Vietnam, a pilot. And Derek has all the details, has talked with the crew of the B-52 plane that his father was co-piloting that crashed. On 2nd and 7, trouble with a handoff, but Humphrey able to lock onto it, get it out to the 20-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and about 4. And the irony for Thomas, as he told us in such great detail, he was only 5 years old at the time. He has some solid remembrances of his father, and he was extremely proud, as well he should be. He said, here's a black man in the late 60s, #1 in his training school in the Air Force, piloting in Vietnam, and the B-52 that crashed, he says, then I go to Alabama and I get 52 sacks, and the name of the operation in Vietnam was Operation Linebacker. He said, there's just something about my destiny that has me wondering what's going to happen. There's that shovel pass to Sewell, and indeed, when he's in the game, you better lock in on 30. He's going to be important, and gets the 1st down out at the 26-yard line.
You know, Derek and his dad would certainly be proud of each other. The story about his dad, the last moments of that flight, radioing to the rest of the crew to leave the plane, and him trying to keep it in control while they left the plane. What a story. Then, of course, this young man, bright, articulate, enthusiastic, wholesome, the way he plays the game, how intense.
He has gone to the other members of the crew who have survived that crash and gotten all the details about his father, and obviously hungry to know more about the dad that he won't get to know personally. Clarence Kay, the tight end, out to the 34-yard line.
Pass for John Elway to Clarence Kay.
Elway is so tough going to his left. Very few quarterbacks want to go to their left because they have to get their right shoulder back before they throw the ball. We didn't even do it with Joe Montana. Very rarely. 9 out of 10, Joe will go to his right. But Elway's made a habit of going left and getting it done.
Just an update on the injury report. Stephon Page was knocked unconscious. A questionable return. James Saxon, a knee bruise, could return. Sammy Winder in the backfield.
Here they come again.
And Winder caught at the corner. Fine play by Albert Lewis. Lewis is known for his excellent pass coverage and perhaps one of the best man cover guys in the league, and he's been a solid tackler today.
Well, he's a fine all-around player. Again, their best coverage man, but the stops he's making is a real professional.
The other scores, Washington building its lead, and the Bears the same. Detroit going after a win. We'll be seeing the Lions at home in the traditional Thanksgiving Day game here on NBC as they host the Cleveland Browns. And we'll be in Cleveland next Sunday as the Browns welcome these Kansas City Chiefs and Cleveland's former coach, Marty Schottenheimer.
Well, this is the time of year, the next week or 2 or 3, where the contenders will step forward. Everybody, there are many teams still have a chance, but people are now starting to fall by the wayside. We see Indianapolis faltering dramatically. This particular game is a critical one because Kansas City still can stay in the race.
10-3 Denver. With a 7-2 mark, the best in the American Conference. 3rd and less than a yard. Winder, he has it easily across the 40-yard line. Neil Smith tripped him up.
the left side of that offensive line for Denver, Perry in particular, did a fine job of controlling the line of scrimmage so that Weiner could get his momentum developed and build up so he could hit that line low and hard.
A little push and shove after, as Clarence K, 88, I believe, was involved. And number 80, Mark Jackson, out there on J.C. Pearson, 24. Pearson said, I'll give you another push, but hey, that's enough, folks.
That's enough. Easy does it.
Elway going deep. Well covered. Mark Jackson was his target, and J.C. Pearson had him well covered. Now, it's interesting. You have a strength in a team, and then you draft and you get even more good players. And perhaps it's the excellent veterans that teach the newcomers. But that lineup of Lewis, Burris, Cherry, and Ross, the back four of Kansas City outstanding. Now you get a J.C. Pearson who's playing very well with the injury to Kevin Ross. You've got Kevin Porter for Lloyd Burris at safety, and they really like the way this young man from Auburn has played in his second season.
Well, he had Plan B, Danny Copeland, also. This has been the strength of the team. One thing Kevin Ross, probably the most respected player on the Kansas City team, said, at one time all they would talk about is our secondary. Now they talk about our entire defense, and they really take pride in it.
2nd and 10, the swing in the flat incomplete for Humphrey. Chris Martin was out there just in case.
Coverage by Chris Martin.
So 3rd and 10. There's Kevin Ross. In uniform, he's regarded as one of the toughest guys in the league. You know, he even smiles mean. I mean, when we talked with him yesterday, here's a young guy in South Jersey who was in 4 automobile accidents. He was hit 4 times in his youth. Once had a windshield wiper embedded in his thigh. I said, was that the worst one? He said, oh no, I was in a body cast another time. I was only knocked out 1 time, he said.
Last playing football on the streets as a teenager, I guess. I don't know.
Elway guns and hits his man Sewell. What a play! And Sewell has a first down at the 38-yard line. What a throw by Elway. Sewell barely had time to turn and look, and the coverage was excellent.
Well, Sewell again is so critical for this offense. He can do everything. He's a good blocker, a fine runner, but he can really, this time he's inside, and he's going to go up the field and break to the outside with the other people clearing, and he's so quick against man-to-man coverage and has such good concentration, he can just continually make these plays. He's straight up the field, breaks out, and of course the great arm puts the ball right on him. Good catch, because he has to reach back for the ball. People wondered why Denver took Sewell, because as a running back at Oklahoma, he just had marginal success. He's got great all-around athletic ability.
Elway guns it incomplete. He threw it behind Sewell, and just as well, his receiver had drawn 3 red jerseys.
You know, Kevin Ross, when he smiles, you're saying to yourself, gee, I hope he likes me. What a tough guy, but what a respected guy. Derek Thomas says Ross plays like every play is the last one he'll ever play. Incredible intensity.
And Kevin told us, he said, I didn't come into this league to try to be mediocre. And he inspires his teammates with, it's not just macho, but it's the fact that he hits at a cornerback position the way you'd expect a linebacker or safety to attack. 2nd and 10. 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half. 10-3. Sewell again. And he gets about 7 before he's dropped at the 32-yard line by veteran Mike Bell.
Well, Denver's taking advantage of Dino Hackett's quick pursuit. Dino pursues quickly, so they're giving the ball on an underneath reverse handoff to the inside, and Hackett's going to run past the ball. That gives Sewell an opening to come right up on the inside. You see Hackett getting turned backwards. Hackett's one of the most intense players on his team, enthusiastic players. On the other hand, he can get moved past the ball too easily.
And there is the 2-minute warning here at Arrowhead, where the Broncos lead Kansas City 10-3.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents Legends of the Game.
There's a former 49er guard out of Hillsdale College in Michigan, Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach of the Chiefs. They really like him and what he's done here. He's taken a solid line into one of the better lines that they've blocked so well for Okoye. Now 3rd and 4 for Denver. 2 minutes to go in the half. A big play for both sides as the Broncos have a 10-3 lead, and they get the first down, drawing Kansas City offside, and now Elway with a free play. Throws and has a man open. Jackson incomplete.
Elway is expert, bordering on illegal with his head bob, getting people offside. That time Kansas City jumped into the Chicago Bear 46 defense to put heat on.
99, offside. 5 yards penalty.
And he drew him offside. Now you're going to see the head bob right here as he makes his snap count. There it is, and that's going to pull people off the line. Just any movement like that in a defense that's an attacking defense will get people to move. It's been legislated against, but John Elway takes it right to the limit. He's very skilled at it, and it's made a big difference for Denver.
And he had a sure 7 if he could have hit Jackson, who was 10 yards in the open, but threw too wide. So Kansas City's 4th penalty extends this Denver drive. First down at the Chiefs' 27.
Well, Derek Thomas wants so desperately to get a hold of Elway. He said the last time they played, he almost got there any number of times, but Elway, with his experience and instincts, would just barely make him miss.
Well, Thomas, 58, can't get in. It's going to be intercepted. Dan Suliamua, the big tackle from Arizona State, has his first interception, and it stops the Denver drive. Suliamua, a Plan B, free agent selected by Kansas City, and Marty Schottenheimer said he is clearly our best Plan B acquisition, and he pays a dividend here today.
Well, he came out of that line of scrimmage as a defensive lineman, and Elway just had no way to see that beginning to occur. You see him drop right into the middle, and he's in a position that Elway didn't expect. Now, the ball naturally was tipped to him, but normally there isn't a man sitting in that spot.
Clarence Kay had his hands on it, and he's upset that Kay didn't bring that one down.
Kansas, there. You know how you feel, Dan.
Head. Yeah, use your head, he's saying. Perhaps he thought he should have just let that one fly by, that he could only do what happened, deflect it right into the arms of KC.
Thank you. And so, Mayor, these swiftly flowing currents create energy, which in turn creates power, which in turn brings electric light to every house in the valley.
That's very impressive, Calvin.
Thank you, sir.
But the contract calls for bringing Bud Light to the valley.
Quest for Bowler of the Year honors, the PBA Fall Tour on NBC Sports.
John Elway, who's had tough luck. That's 23 of his 110 interceptions against Kansas City, and he must be ruining the lost opportunity on the offside play where he had Jackson wide open in the end zone and missed him.
Well, Kansas City's always had excellent coverage, people, man-to-man. And I assume that's the reason why Elway's had more interceptions, because otherwise you just can't figure it.
Suliamua's interception takes it to the 37. Now Pelluer gets away from Fletcher and ducks out of bounds. And Fletcher dropped on a good block from Todd McNair.
Steve Pelluer on the carry.
Let's go back to the interception, and Reeves apparently thought that Kay should have just let this one go.
Well, Suliamua comes out of the line of scrimmage right here and drops into coverage, which will confuse Elway in an extent because he doesn't realize there's an extra defender down the field. You'll see him backing out right there, and he's in position now to go to any kind of a ball. Now the ball's tipped, and it bounces right to him. But again, Kansas City trying to confuse Elway somewhat or give him a false key, taking the defensive lineman out of the line of scrimmage as a pass defender.
A minute, 36 seconds left in the first half. 10-3, Kansas City trails. Underneath to McNair. Good speed, this rookie from Temple. And a first down at the 42 of Denver. They're not going to use a timeout here. They have all three remaining. 1:14, 1:13. Protection to the sidelines, and McNair. Atwater gets him out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Another first down.
Well, you have Atwater hooked up on McNair coming out of the backfield. If they're going to be in a zone defense, Atwater's going to play for Pelluer to run. But in this case, they almost pick him off. from the outside, and then he has to cover to the inside. Now you see Atwater on McNair right here. This will almost force Atwater to adjust his course. Consequently, he can't really get on the cover. See the pick play right there. Now he's in trouble trying to find McNair again, and McNair makes a fine catch.
Steve Atwater among the top vote getters early on for rookie defensive back of the year.
Good protection.
Wobbly pass and incomplete. Keith Manley unable to get to it. Stops the clock with exactly a minute left in this first half.
Good pass protection all the way up the field. Here's Mecklenburg, the big pass rusher, handled very, very nicely by Alt. Very nicely. He finishes his plays, too, with that big power. But all week, Steve DeBerg's been practicing in this situation, Dick. They wanted Steve to handle the two-minute offense, but I guess Pelluer's warmed up and has some grasp of what they're doing. But this is where real experience makes a difference.
Second down and 10. 3 timeouts left and a minute to go for Kansas City to try to tie this game.
Atwater's waiting for Pelluer.
Underneath it goes. And complete to Naz Wortham. His 5th catch of the year and his first today. Just activated. Carlos Carson was waived by Kansas City earlier in the week. Veteran wide receiver picked by the Eagles, and Naz Wortham, the 3rd-round pick from NC State, gives them a first down. Timeout.
It has arrived.
Good morning, Mr. Graves. This is the all-new 4-door Cutlass Supreme. Your mission is to show the world that it's causing an automotive revolution. Its sleek look and responsive performance make it a superpower among world-class cars.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile. Ready, head up! This is the new generation of
Now you'll see Atwater waiting in here in a zone defense for Pelluer to run with the ball. But meanwhile, Wortham will cross the field against the zone and be wide open on the far side of the field. So in order to Atwater to sit in there, as you can see, watching for Pelluer, they have to play a zone with one man short, allowing for that big hole on the far side of the field.
49 seconds left in the half. First down at the Denver 18. Pelluer underneath the Manley. A flag is down as Manley is stopped at the 14-yard line. Gain of 5 if. And it goes against the home team.
Well, Kansas City needs points in this drive. Touchdown would be great, but to come out of this with another field goal would give them momentum going in at halftime.
Holding 53 offense. 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat the first down.
Mike Webster. Meanwhile, Steve Pelluer, acquired from the Cowboys for a couple of draft picks, 2 next year, and depending on how well he plays here in Kansas City, anywhere from a 1 to a 3rd-round pick in '91 to Dallas. He had as his idol Roger Staubach, Bart Starr. Said his agent advised him to sign with Atlanta. He said this didn't feel right to him. They're all really quick, pulling back in another 5 yards.
Well, my point, Dick, on getting points, I think it's obvious for anybody watching the game, television or at hand here. Obviously, you want points at halftime.
76 offense. Ball start. 5-yard penalty. Go first down.
But the plan now should be to get close enough to kick a long field goal. They're sort of self-destructing in this process. So your plan changes from getting into the end zone. We've got to get 3 points out of this. And those kinds of plays should be called to get some of that yardage back before the half's over.
A reminder to our viewers, we will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player, announcing that at the conclusion of today's game. Now first down and 25.
Can't afford a sack.
Alt again. And that's with a new quarterback, perhaps Alt and some of the linemen not in sync with Steve Pelluer. So another 5 yards.
Ball start, number 61 and number 76 offense.
Well,
5 yards, go first down.
The simplest thing is the cadence. To a fan or an observer, you say, would you ever have a problem with the cadence? But there's a certain rhythm to it that those linemen need Now, you had a new quarterback to it, and he doesn't use that same cadence coming from Dallas. And in this case, Mike Webster's not snapping the ball quite quickly enough. Alt is naturally got a pass protect against the top pass rusher, so he's moving. It's a simple thing like cadence. It takes time to coordinate.
So from the 18 back to the 38 on 20 yards of penalties, 3 successive penalties. Pelluer getting away from Fletcher and hit hard as he gets to the 31-yard line, and a timeout called by Kansas City. No, I saw them signal timeout, and it kept running, and now finally acknowledged with 26 seconds to go.
Well, the threat of Pelluer running, that time he got man-to-man and got a short gain. If they can just get 5 to 8 more yards, they'll get an automatic 3 points.
7 tough yards on that play. Looking ahead to next Sunday, our doubleheader on NBC. The game's early after NFL Live at 12:30. Kansas City, as Marty Schottenheimer goes back to meet his former players with the Cleveland Browns. San Diego at Pittsburgh, and Miami goes against the Cowboys. The late games, the Raiders in Houston. That'll be a hard hitter, and Seattle will be at the Meadowlands against the Giants.
I think that playoff picture is going to be a much clearer after next week's games.
Marty Schottenheimer working on the officials.
See, I don't know how Marty can have that kind of emotion and keep his cool, so to speak. He's one of the best coaches in the game. His practice this last week was beautifully orchestrated. He coaches all phases of the game. Knowledgeable, expressive, intelligent, but the emotion runs so deep during the game.
Well, he's very emotional. In fact, in press conferences in Cleveland, Art Modell used to sit next to him and say, be man, so you don't cry, because he really can get that kind of emotion welled up in a hurry. Very sensitive. Boy, that could have been called on Alt. Pelluer takes a whack at the 24-yard line. Marquines made the tackle.
That was a hit. Those defensive backs see that quarterback coming, knowing he doesn't protect himself as well. But Pelluer's got them 3 points, I believe, at this point with those 2 runs.
2 tough 7-yard runs, 14 yards closer to the uprights, and here comes Nick Lowery in on 3rd down. They're out of timeouts apparently, and they're not going to take a chance with 17 seconds to go, although the fans want him to go on 3rd down for a score.
No, not with that new quarterback. More likely something would have gone wrong.
It'll be a 41-yard attempt. 41 yards by Lowery. Unless this is a fake. He drills it through.
Good job. Good job.
So Lowery has all of Kansas City's points in this first half from 39 and now from 42 yards. Scores and highlights coming up at NFL Live, but just to bring you up to date on the scores and some lopsided ones at halftime. Buffalo big. Jets lead by 10 against Miami. New Orleans an 18-point lead against the Patriots. Washington a 10-3 lead, somewhat surprising at Philadelphia. The Bears up 20-0 at halftime. Minnesota a couple touchdowns better than Tampa Bay at the half, and Detroit pounding Green Bay 24-3 in the second period.
Well, those developing teams will have a great game one week, and the next week just let down a little bit and get taken.
The difference in this game, Carricker nailing quarterback Pelluer of Kansas City, who fumbled, and the loose ball picked up by Kragen. And Greg Kragen rumbled 17 yards easily into the end zone for his first NFL touchdown. And that is the only touchdown of this first half. 10-6, Denver. Bert Schottenheimer, the special teams coach here in Kansas City, as he was in Cleveland, and I will watch his team do something that he's not been at all happy with, and that's defend against the kickoff return. The game started with a 68-yard return by Carrington. This one picked up neatly as Melvin Bratton, the former Miami star, gets it to the 33-yard line. Stan Petrie makes the tackle, and a flag goes down.
Well, 8 seconds left. If they can get, if this is against Kansas City, the Hail Mary.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. 59 to the red team.
What this does, Dick, it puts the Hail Mary within the goal line. So if Elway throws that ball to the goal line now from the 50, they can get that tip pass for a touchdown. So this 15 yards can make a big difference on one crazy play.
Stacey Harvey committed the foul that takes the ball out to the 47-yard line, and now indeed the Broncos within range using the gun of Elway to get the ball high and deep toward that goal line. 8 seconds showing on the clock as Dan Reeves' team and Marty Schottenheimer's in a defensive battle this first half, and the defense has scored the only touchdown.
Marty knows exactly what's going to happen. Of course, everybody does. But again, Elway's within range now with his big arm to get that ball in the end zone, and a tip pass could be a touchdown. Coming outside, it's a design play.
And he throws too low. Ricky Natile. Check that. It's Michael Young closest to the ball.
Well, Marty Schottenheimer felt at that point, you could see him on the sideline exhorting his team to back up because he knows even that deep out pattern that Elway just tried wouldn't be enough with only 8 seconds left. And so in this particular case, he just wanted people to protect the goal line.
2 seconds left and a final shot for Elway. Now there they were going obviously for a short